All right. Well, welcome to the ARLnow Podcast. I'm your host, Lena. We got our producer, Dan, here, and our guest this week is Vernon.
I don't know if there's a camera for me to wave to, but yeah, happy to be here. I'm waving if you can't see it.
All right, well, we got a couple articles to go over this week. One of them talking about some new safety measures in Roslyn. We're going to go over some unemployment in Arlington. And then we've also got a fun, interesting film festival coming up that we get to talk about. Dan, you had this article about the new safety rangers in Roslyn. Tell me a little bit about that. Yeah.
It's called Safety Rangers, and it's a new safety program from the Roslyn Business Improvement District. So basically, they're going to have some more safety patrols out there on the streets, basically security guards, trying to, keep people safe. And they talk about like answering tourists who are looking lost and things of that nature. And sort of what makes this program interesting, is that not only that they have these people out there on the streets, that they're trying to get this program started up, but also that Roslyn is one of the safest neighborhoods here in Arlington. So basically, this business improvement district is trying to make Roslyn a little bit safer.
It's so silly. It's so ridiculous. Somebody in the comments was pointing out, like, this in Pentagon City. Do this like somewhere on Columbia Pike. Do this somewhere where there's actually like stuff happening in Arlington. There's nothing happening in Roslyn. If there's a crime happening in Roslyn, that would be the best part of somebody's day in Roslyn.
I mean, I did live in Roslyn for a little bit. I mean, I never saw any crimes. I know we have reported on crimes there.
Yeah, but nothing a safety ranger's going to stop. They're not going to see somebody going down the street with like a DUI. It would be like, safety rangers should put my life on the line for service to God and the Roslyn bid to stop this from happening. It's very silly. It's all about making people feel better, but it's not doing anything.
Did they tell you if there was something that like prompted this, or was this just kind of out of the blue?
What I do know is that they've done programs sort of similar to this in the past. I mean, their current programs, working with like homeless outreach and graffiti and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly some of those kind of initiatives could get transferred over here. I also know that this program, it's actually rather short. Like it's only for a couple months, and so it seems like they're kind of trying this out as a pilot.
The helping tourists thing does sound like something that could be compelling for this. If you have somebody that shows up in Roslyn, they're looking around trying to find stuff. If you're one of those safety rangers, it could be like, Georgetown is that way. Other parts of Arlington are further west. You can tell people, if you're a tourist and you happen to end up in Roslyn, where you should be going instead.
Honestly, I bet that happens pretty frequently. I feel like getting around
I do think a lot of them are
DC as a
trying to get to other
tourist, you're like,
places.
Yeah, you just need signs set up saying you got off at Roslyn, you meant to be going to Georgetown, you should be going north from where you are. So pointing them in the right direction.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it is the Roslyn bid's money. Like, this isn't county dollars that we're talking about. Like, they have this money, from, I think it's like the homeowners in Roslyn. And so, they can sort of do what they want with it.
Do these security, like, are they retired police officers? Where did they find these people? Are they volunteers? Do we know, like, where they got them, or?
Perfect segue for unemployment.
They're volunteers. It's through the same agency that they use for like the people that they already have out there in the streets. Like if you know Roslyn, they have like, if you ever see the people in like the purple shirts who are out there collecting trash and stuff.
Yeah.
It's through the same company that does them.
Okay.
Block by block, right?
Yeah. Okay. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. It just feels interesting calling them like a security. It feels like they're doing useful things, but...
No, they're safety rangers. That's such a fun, like, I genuinely like that. That is a fun, ridiculous kind of name to attach to that. I think it was Dan that was saying, like, Power Rangers has the same kind of vibe to it. The bright purple shirts really help with that image, too. So... it's good branding. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
I think there were some Power Rangers memes in our comment section.
There we go.
Yeah, and they're Tuesday through Saturday. Not what was the thought process of we don't need them Sunday and Monday?
The Lord's Day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You wouldn't do a crime on a Sunday or a Saturday. That's illegal.
I mean, it's interesting. I'm interested to see if, anyone notices anything different over the summer, if maybe they, locals get approached by less tourists asking for directions at the very least.
Is that a problem?
did-
Is that a thing? Yeah.
I get approached by a couple tourists when I was living in Roslyn. One time I had a guy who came up and, okay, no lie, I was like walking down the street in Roslyn. I was going to get some bagels, like Bethesda bagel or something. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you think it's okay if I just smoke a blunt here?" I'm like, just walking down the street. And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, I mean, I don't see that around here, but maybe this is something that the safety rangers would have something to say about.
That'll be a great question to ask
Yeah.
one of the safety rangers.
Now you can report him to your nearest safety ranger to take him off for Roslyn re-education. You should have said yes.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a chill to walk around Roslyn smoking a blunt. You're allowed to. Remember, kids, you're allowed to do that. Official ARL Now.
You heard it here first.
I wonder if they're going to do this in any other areas. If, Roslyn's just going to be kind of the only one, and all the other areas are like, no. They'll figure it out themselves.
With unemployment going up, this may just be a county initiative to try to, oh, it lost your job with the federal government? Have you considered being a safety ranger in Ballston or Clarendon? I want to be the Clarendon safety ranger at, late nights on weekends, being the safety ranger walking around.
Yeah, the times in here, it says they're from noon to 8:30, but the ones in Clarendon are going to start at 8:30 and go till noon the next day.
Dream job.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare job for me.
Vernon, were you talking about unemployment as a way of trying to make a segue?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a effective little get off ramp. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So we can jump right into it then. Segue into maybe a new job opportunity for people. So Northern Virginia unemployment claims jumped 7.1% in February.
Yeah, that's rough. That's bad, man. I don't know. Looking at the data for Arlington and Fairfax, that is oof. I heard from the Fairfax leaders, they were saying that this could shape up to be worse than COVID in terms of job loss. And as we're looking at budget stuff, I was just covering some budget stuff for Fairfax, and I've seen it for Arlington as well. This is definitely something that's going to be a concern, not only for this year, but probably for years to come. It could reshape the economy up here.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it was just a couple years ago that it was like the opposite. They announced Amazon was coming and everyone was like, this is going to be amazing for this area. They, all of these, properties are going to be higher value. There's going to be all these jobs. And now it's just so different.
Yeah. The great symbol of that is going to be the half-finished Amazon building that nobody's going to be working in. Dan, do you know anything that's been going on about that? The Amazon HQ?
We have not heard anything recently. There was a little bit of activity there last year, and it's been a couple months kind of pestering them after that.
It's going to be a monument to local unemployment. It's going to be that just sitting there empty, half finished at some point. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at over the next few years. Is we could see some pretty dramatic job cuts. We could see the economy trying to reconfigure into something that is not as heavily reliant on the federal government. That could be something else. We had to do that a little bit after BRAC several years ago. That was base realignment, where there's a whole bunch of military offices and stuff around this region that we had to sort of shift away from military contracting into other stuff. But it was still federally reliant, which is where we're at now.
Yeah. It's so interesting to see. It's been how long since Doge has been a thing?
Months.
I was going to say only a couple months. And I don't know about, the rest of the nation when it comes to this stuff, but obviously this area has just been hit so hard. All of Virginia, DC, Maryland, you're just seeing those changes everywhere. Immediately too.
One of the things that the Fairfax County Board chair was telling me about the other day was it's something where it's going to hit us first, but it's going to have a ripple effect across the state. You're going to see this all around, probably not just the rest of Virginia, but all around Maryland, all around the region. Mm-hmm. It starts here. This is the epicenter, but other places that rely on some of the funding coming out of this area are going to be hit as well. And they don't really see that or really understand that yet, but it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's going to be so many people leaving too, because so many people were here because of federal jobs, and it's expensive to live in this area. And so if you're like, well, I don't have a job that needs me here, let me go move to Idaho, where it costs, a quarter as much to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a story a couple days back about, Governor Youngkin's thoughts on all of this. I found that really, really interesting where, he's still just kind of doubling down with Trump, talking about, trying to kind of smooth the way for federal workers, into finding more jobs, but, still very much standing by Trump. I mean, I think for a lot of Democrats in this region, though, and a lot of people in this region, which obviously is really heavily Democratic, like it's hard for a lot of people to be seeing that silver lining these days.
Yeah, well, and especially coming from Youngkin is right now on his lame duck period as governor. This is him trying to set up. This is probably him trying to set up something in the Trump administration or in the higher echelons of conservative power. That's why I would dollars to donuts. That's why he's sticking with Trump on this stuff, even though it's very unpopular in this region in particular, but probably around the rest of Virginia. We should be seeing how that affects the election coming up pretty soon, actually.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's also, he put everything behind this guy, and now it's affecting Virginia, and it's kind of like he has egg on his face, and he's not going to be like, oh, this is terrible, because a bunch of people are going to be like, well, this is, kind of what everyone knew was going to happen. So I guess he doesn't really have a choice. He's got to double down instead of, I guess, being vulnerable and honest on how this has affected so many of his constituents.
Yeah, what I've heard from the Arlington GOP is, the argument that this creates opportunities for Arlington to become less reliant on the federal government and invest more into private industry and stuff. But what I struggle with is, I think Arlington has already been investing in those kinds of things. But I guess the question is, could we be investing more? At least is the way I see it.
I mean, yeah, but also that's really one of Arlington's biggest strengths is its proximity to DC. I mean, if you look at other places around the country, they are known for particular industries and they can diversify and do other sorts of economic stuff. But I think trying to abandon the biggest advantage that Arlington has over someplace like Idaho with cheaper housing, that's kind of a fool's errand. I mean, if you're deciding between living in Arlington or living in Boise, Idaho, and the only difference is the cost of housing, then yeah, you're going to start losing out a lot more businesses and a lot more people.
Well, there are a lot of businesses that I do see even these days who are interested in coming to Arlington, but I mean, I don't know that I don't know what it's going to take to balance out just how many jobs have been lost.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not even only Arlington, it's all of the surrounding areas, And so it's just like, what are we going to do about those places? It just all stretches.
It's a huge portion of Fairfax's workforce for sure. As we've been looking at some of those numbers, it's just kind of staggering realizing how many people are not just directly working for the federal government, but are in jobs that are contracting for the federal government, or, and this is another thing that I think people forget, have spouses or family members or other stuff like that is reliant on either the federal government job or a contractor for the federal government.
Yeah.
And so it has a huge ripple effect beyond just that single number of X people work for federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, I mean, even the private companies, if they are doing work with the federal government, which they probably are, then where are they going to go? It's not like they can just stay and not have that, moneymaker for them. They're going to go elsewhere as well.
Yeah. I guess the other advantage there could be long-term, not to give the Arlington GOP any ideas, but I guess that could drive down the cost of housing if you have people moving away from the area to go pursue those opportunities because, people aren't going to be as in high demand to come to this area. But we'll have to see how that'll bear out because, I don't know, there's kind of a conglomerate of housing authorities around here or housing developers who are not going to let that happen.
When we were first hearing about some of these changes in the federal government, I spoke to a local professor who studies these kinds of things in the DC area. And I asked him about housing prices, and he said to me, I certainly hope that the way Arlington gets out of its housing crisis isn't through homes getting devalued.
Yeah. Yeah, also, these are the same housing developers who allegedly have been price fixing for years and are going through a court battle in DC over that. So this is not exactly the people who are about to sit back and let something good happen for locals in the housing market.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm still waiting to see is like widespread these effects actually are here in Arlington, like what portion of the workforce actually was impacted here. Coming back to like kind of the news that we're talking about here of like, these initial unemployment claims. Like, I mean, we're talking about there's like months, like I think like 2 months of lag or something,
Yeah.
before we actually get these numbers. And I'm like, well, what is it at right now? How bad is it going to get? I mean, that's the question that's really on my mind right now.
I was hearing June is probably when we might be seeing some of the more concrete data on this. Some of that's because people were furloughed but not laid off or not fired. So you had a lot of people, some of my friends have been going through this right now. You have a lot of people who have federal jobs and are not working, but are also not quite filing unemployment yet. So it's a little bit more staggered than it was like during COVID, where things was just kind of cut hard at a certain point. So yeah, this is something we might be seeing over the summer. I think the other thing to watch is whether or not this gets worse or whether or not this is kind of the peak of some of those cuts. We just saw today Mark Rubio was talking about reorganizations for the State Department, and that's kind of Doge adjacent, but that could be more cuts along the way. But also maybe this is the end of Doge stuff. We'll see. I don't know, but who can say?
Yeah, I mean, okay, not to drag this out too much, but the other thing I've been waiting to see whether this actually happens is like on the campaign trail, Trump was talking about straight up relocating federal agencies out of the DC area. Now, I haven't heard too much about that, at least personally over these last couple months, but I mean, if that were to happen, that would be kind of the next blow to fall, I guess.
That's why we're going to be relocating to Greenland for our next podcast episode, right? That's our Green Now.
Red, white, and blue land, you mean?
Yeah, I don't even know what the name of the main city in Greenland is. I apologize to our Greenlandian audience, our Danish friends of the podcast. I apologize. I will do better. I will learn more about your country for now and in time for our next podcast.
Goodness. All right. On a lighter note, there's an exciting film festival coming to Arlington. Cats and Dogs.
Yeah,
Very
speaking
exciting.
of Doge.
Yeah, speaking of Doge.
Yeah, this is the Cat Film Festival and the Dog Film Festival coming to Columbia Pike next month. If you're somebody that likes very twee-looking film festivals, I mean, this sounds fantastic. This, especially for animal lovers, particularly of cats and dogs. Rabbit guy myself, but I can still appreciate the more traditional household pets.
So I want to know, it sounds like it's going to be both documentary style, but also some like fictional short films.
Yeah,
I
some
was
of these
thinking
are
originally it would just be like documentary style, kind of like Animal Planet, but
yeah, I thought that as well. I thought at first it was going to be like, oh, funniest home videos or whatever. Dan's rolling his eyes to the old people here talking about stuff like funniest home videos for animals. No,
Hey,
yeah, I thought
those.
that. Okay, cool, good to know. Yeah, I thought it was going to be mostly that. There is some documentary stuff. There's one that looks kind of interesting. There's a couple that are about PTSD and dogs, like helping people through with PTSD. I think one of the cooler things here is also they have like animated stuff that is not actual dogs or cats, but people animating dog or cat stories.
That's fun.
Yeah, and some of those look pretty good. They're short, but they look very well made. There's like a claymation themed one that looks pretty cool.
Oh
I'm also, obviously, given my tastes, very interested in Mikey Hammer Private Eye, which is a cat noir film. So,
do we
I'm
know
down
if
for
that
one.
one's animated or is that live action?
I think that one is live action. It's kind of a blend of live action and I think moving images. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks interesting.
Well, I want to write up on it whenever you do see it.
Yeah. Private Eye is enough. That was, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm hooked. You got me.
Oh my goodness. I like that the proceeds are going to the Welfare League of Arlington.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. So it's $38 for tickets to the event, but you do all that goes to the Animal Welfare League of Arlington. So it's
100%
good for your local shelter. Yeah,
that's awesome.
All the proceeds, not all the costs, obviously, but like anything beyond that goes to the AWLA.
That's awesome.
It's a good venue too, right? That's at the Arlington Cinema and Draft House, right?
Yeah, I've been there a couple times. That's a fun little spot. That's also why I believe it is 21 and up, unless you're accompanied by a parent. That kind of like threw me for a loop when I first saw this. I was like, why would it be 21 and up for a pet film festival? But no, that's because it's at the draft house.
Yeah, Verna, what do you think the vibe is going to be like here? Like, is it family friendly? Is it people getting hammered and watching some funny dogs?
That I have no idea. As soon as you asked that, I could see 5 different directions this would go. Either it's gonna be like a bunch of old people there to like hang out and watch this, or it'll be like Gen Xers. Like I have no idea. It could be anybody. It's anybody's ball game.
So they're bringing adoptable pets there as well.
Yeah, this should be a fun thing too. Like that all kind of
Yeah.
ties in with that. Having some of those available there to pick up and take home or take with you to the film, I guess. So this should be fun.
I wonder if you get to like be like, oh, I want to bring this dog in. Can we watch the movie together?
Yeah, that would be cute. Aw.
Yeah, that is so fun. Well, when is this? May 6th and 7th.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
gonna
7
be
p.m. Okay.
kind of a nice. It's Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon, so that's kind of a nice thing for people who are busy on weekends. I find. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
about you guys, but I find that there's too many things too many events are hosted on the weekends, and I'm like,
Mhm.
there's stuff going on Friday and Saturday night. So stuff being held on like Tuesday or Wednesday evenings. That's usually pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's nice, it gives you the opportunity, you're done with work, go out to dinner, and then this would be good. It is at the draft house, so you can go get a drink, watch some movies.
Yeah, I love seeing a movie after work. That was
Yeah.
our newsroom is right across from the Ballston Theater. I went over there last night and saw Sinners. It's pretty
Oh, I heard
good.
that's
I don't know
really
if
good.
any horror fans and the people listening, the regular ARL Now podcast listeners, have our little movie review segment.
Yeah, we'll have a short film festival review.
There we go.
Let's go watch the movies. Just tear them apart afterwards.
Yeah, this dog is a terrible performer. They kept looking at the camera. It was very inauthentic. 2 paws out of 10.
Hey, I want to be able to get to review this because maybe then, like, I can get work to compensate me going to this dog film festival.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, we could make it, charge the pod for it. It's part of.
Yeah,
Mhm.
our own Roger Ebert. I'm just trying to make it work. I don't know if it landed.
I appreciate the effort. All right. Well, I had a lot of fun talking about those. Some of them maybe a little bit more fun to talk about than others.
Those safety rangers, man.
They
Wild.
really ran the
Wild
gamut.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, it was great talking with you guys. Thanks for joining me. And I look forward to next time when we can talk about those films.
Yeah, see you guys in Greenland for our next
All right.